A motion poster is actually a poster that moves in a loop on a screen. What differentiates it from a movie is that it has no beginning and an end. You don't know when someone is going to start watching the poster and when he's going to give up watching the poster, and then it just looks away. So in that sense it's a poster, but on the other sense it's a movie. It's somewhere between a print poster and a movie. Why did I choose the end of the world to be the subject of the poster? That's because it might happen, the end of the world. And I think there's a responsibility for designers and for people to try to prevent catastrophes. There's so much anyone can do. The first thing that you need to do is be aware of that your actions actually matter. It sometimes may seem like there's no chance, but there is. But the thing is to have impact on the people that have the power to make the change. That's usually politicians. So if you're a designer and you raise awareness and someone might notice or learn something about a potential catastrophe, and then he might approach his member of parliament. It's minimalism to maximalism. That someone makes a small action and it might actually change the world. What is my theory about the end of the world? I'm actually optimistic. I think that when it will come to the point when something will have to be done, humanity will do it. But otherwise, it's actually not the end of the world. The world will be here always. It's just humans might not. So it's the end of humanity, not the end of the world. The world actually might be a lot better without us.
My name is Réjane Lhtôte. I teach in Orléans. I'm a visual artist and I also teach in an architecture school in Paris. This is my first time here. The goal of my workshop is for people to overcome the fear of drawing, to overcome the expectation they may have over drawing, and through protocols and setting rules, how it puts you in movement and a blank page doesn't seem as scary as it often does. What designers can learn from the culture of visual artists, I think, opens up your horizons and gives a culture. And I think a visual culture is important, and to look in different fields, may it be visual arts or live dancing and theater, I think is quite important. Whatever the cultural job you'll be working at, may it be graphic design, object design, whatever. I think it's very important to just look around and see what's happening and how we can learn from each other. My workshop was influenced by the theme minimalist and complexity, in the mean that I focused and I oriented my workshop on work from minimalist artists and dancers, and how a very, I would say, basic vocabulary can actually produce very intense and complex work. When I talk about basic vocabulary, I mean it's thinking that drawing is just a dot, then a line, then a triangle or a square, a circle, and colors intervene, and then it becomes more and more complex. What I want the students to take home from my workshop would be curiosity, just to be curious and aware of what surrounds us and what we can learn from one another.
My name is Lahav Halevi. I'm from Tel Aviv. I came from Bezalel Academy in Jerusalem. I run a political poster design class here, workshop. The title of the workshop was Dishwashers and Machine Guns. And as I told the students, as long as you can deal with buying dishwashers, having an espresso in a cafe or anything else, you don't have to fight for anything. Once the machine guns start shooting, then it's time for you to fight. And we try to imitate the situation in which we have to fight for something, And this week we are fighting against racism. The issue of minimalism and complexity, when it has to do with any political or activist design, has to do with the concept of delivering a message, which is sometimes very complex in a very simple way. What I appreciate the most about posters is that no one needs it nowadays any longer, which makes it a privilege. I usually, and this is what I told the students here, when I take a sheet of paper, the poster size, it seems to me like a playground, as opposed to any other graphic product, as opposed to business card, as opposed to brochure, postcard, or whatever. With a poster, you can be very flexible. I think that design can have an impact in political discussions once it supports something which is more major in terms of society. Definitely, a poster alone cannot do anything. And every time people ask me, do you think that any of your posters can do something? I always give the example of, assume that you see a very rich guy, like CEO of a bank, gets out of a new black Mercedes and park it and go to a restaurant, and you pick a rusty nail and you scratch the Mercedes all along. It will still go, but the owner will be pissed off. And this is what a political poster can do. If I think of something that the students should remain with by the end of the week and take with themselves along the way as professionals, is the ability to start with an idea which is private, something I have in my mind, and with the process of work, being able to understand the difference between the private and the public. The ability to say, this speaks to me, and the end product speaks to the rest of the world, and students should learn how to do it.
My name is Marcin Wichrowski. I work at Polish-Japanese Academy of Information Technology in Warsaw, Poland. I'm a user experience designer. The workshop which I run here is about augmented reality art, and it's about trying to use this technology to make the complicated things simple, so just to make it less complicated. Augmented reality plays a very important and a big role in the design right now, and I think in future years it will be even greater role and tablets are right now, and because they are capable of playing augmented reality scenes and projects, I think it's simply our future to use this technology for making things more accessible. Why I like human-computer interaction? Well, I love it. First thing why I love it is that it's so multidisciplinary. I mean that it's merging so many fields like psychology, like computer science. I think everybody could find something for interesting in this human-computer interaction, because it could be very great for user design. It's great if you want to make some research with people, if you want to invent new types of interactions. This broad, aspect range is something which I loved most in this HCI field.
My name is Golan Gafni. I'm from Israel. I teach at HIT, Holon Institute of Technology. I teach graphic design, especially typography and editorial design. We are working on a magazine as one of maybe the complicated things to do, but the theme is the students themselves. So each one has to pick something that's connected to himself or herself, and to come out with some kind of a publication. It's quite a thing that happens now in the magazine world, that people are searching for new themes and new subjects, and I think it's an interesting task to do something quite personal, but you need to think how other people will be interested in it. Well, how print media is developing. It's not dead. I think it's alive. It's quite kicking, but in other way. It's answering some questions, some different questions today, and it's maybe people are now needs to think how to justify their printed things. I mean, it's quite sometimes more expensive and not immediate, but people need to hold things. And I think it's something that people are still enjoying, and it will still exist. It's very difficult to design a magazine in 1 week. It's complicated because they need to make a lot of decisions. The format, first of all, the concept itself, the format, the grid, the type, the design itself, the layout. But we are making it as just a brainstorming activity in order to give the viewer some kind of an experience. The little things that they need to take care of when they're doing some graphic design, I mean, I see that they are quite struggling with all the details they need to pay attention to. I mean, even just a page number on a page can be a whole story. And I hope they will learn that from this experience.